Collar Tug, the movie. um, so, the American Society of Magical Negroes. As a white guy, I say that with a lot of, like a lot of collar tug there. I'm going to try not to say that word name very often, because I know it's technically nowhere near as offensive as the actual N word, but it's still not a word that should really be used very often these days. Um, yeah. So look, I initially saw the trailers. I'm like, okay, maybe I will be seeing this. And then there was no showings at my local theater, and my friend wanted to see this, and my friend is black, and she wanted to see this, so I'm like, okay, no, I'm more than willing to go see it with you. Like, I'm not uncomfortable to see the movie. I'm just like, as again, because of the color of my skin, I'm like, how do I go up to a theater attendant and ask the name of this movie? Um, but yeah, she had gotten the ticket. I was running late, so she actually got the tickets and cut that out of the way. But yeah, we were able to find a showing in one of the other theaters, and it's actually the nicer theater, but it's just farther out. It's like a 45-minute drive. But no, like my local theater is literally only like 15 to 20 minutes down the road. This one, even with the highway, is still like a half hour to 45 minutes, and I was running late. Point being, so we went in and we sat down, and so obviously you've seen the trailer. It's this guy. Let me actually get the characters' names here if I can here. This guy played by Justin Smith. He's I guess you could say he's an artist messing with yarn. That's his art style is yarn. But yeah, he's very timid and he's very awkward, apparently, around white people. And then David Allen Greer shows up, reveals that he's a part of a society of black people who have been keeping the course of keeping white people happy for years and years and years with their magic. And he goes to work for his first client, and he works for his client, played by Drew Tarvier, Jason, and along the way he meets a girl, Lizzie, played by Anne-Lee Bogan, and it's him coming to terms with a lot of what he's been dealing with, the societal issues going on to some degree, him trying to, find love, while also realizing, oh no, we can't be together because of the rules or whatever, and so forth and so on. So, should still clarify right out the gate what I think of this movie. I like the movie. I actually do think it's a good movie. I'm definitely giving it a better review than the critics did, because critics only gave it about 30%, and the audience is only giving it about a 66%. I would fall on the I would fall on the side of the fence either way of giving it a positive review. I do think it's a good movie. I think the acting is good. It is making a point. It has a statement to make. Keep in mind, it is satire. Like, the world that they're trying to present to us is not 100% accurate, because it is satire, but there is a message and a point that's getting across that is real. It is very real, and how a lot of black people feel in society today. And you know what? I am very glad that I went with my friend, because I was able to give my perspective, and we were able to give her perspective. And surprisingly, we're meeting in the middle a lot. Even when we weren't exactly in the middle on what our perspective was, we were able to understand what the other was talking about, and kind of, again, reach that middle ground. Like, oh, I understand what you're saying, and then, I understand what you're saying. And it's kind of like the combination of this. And so, yeah, we actually we were actually very much on the level of how we felt about how they were representing the message in the movie. That said, before we continue to give what I like about the movie, I should say this is not a perfect movie. There are, when I say issues, yeah, I would actually go with not even issues, and using issues for a movie like this is a little, like, I'm going to have to tightrope walk a lot of what I'm saying in this, because I know I'm probably going to end up accidentally saying something where it might sound wrong. Sure. I'm going to say what I would just thought of for a little later, because I think it actually would be poignant for me to say. But anyway, right out the gate, though, for a movie called the Magical American, the Society, the American Society of Magic, a movie that has magical in the title, where these are magical people that can use actual magic. Never explain how, by the way, they do it. They don't use magic a lot. Like, the movie is, where's the time on an hour and 44 minutes long. There's maybe 10 minutes worth of magic in this entire movie. And I'm being generous with that. Like, seriously, there is not, like, there's honestly no point in having them be magical. Like, there actually isn't. Now, I do understand a little bit of it, because when we see, like, past other members of the society, they're basically just ripping off other movies, including, no joke, they're like The Legend of Bagger Vance, except they do it with pool, and the Green Mile, where a guy just, it's like, you be old man, you take her, you big, just grabs his groin, which that has a good callback joke later. But yeah, there's no point on them being magical. Like, there isn't. So there's that. I will also say that it's a lot of it's like a romantic comedy, and a lot of the humor works, but there are moments where we're just sitting in our seats going, oh, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. Like, oh my God, it gets cringy. It gets cringy. And not for the reason you're thinking. Not for like, oh, like racial. No, I mean, it's just like the dialogue is cringy. Like, the scenes you have there are cringy. Sometimes it's poignant. Sometimes it actually makes sense that you're kind of supposed to be uncomfortable with this. But other times it's just like, dude, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. Which leads me actually, I think, to a big problem. Not even the big problem. I think one of the issues I have here is that the main character played by Justice Smith. I like Justice Smith, by the way. But he's got a bit of an Ike Barinthal, I think his name is, kind of vibe to him a little bit. His whole, like his ultimate story is to come to the conclusion of, like, that, yes, why he feels the way he does. And it all culminates with this great speech he has at the end, where he's blowing up on the guy who he's supposed to be friends with and helping out. And it's like, no, I didn't appreciate what you said. Like, and he finally just explains how he's been feeling and how angry it makes him. And, like, it's a great speech, but two problems with it. And I really mean this. That speech, I think, is paramount for the movie, because without that speech, the message that speech is giving isn't coming across very well, I think, in the movie with him, because the whole idea is he feels uncomfortable around white people, like the constant fear of maybe being killed or shot or blamed for something or whatever. And you know what? And in real life, that's legit. That is legit for a lot of black people in real life. But for a lot, like, he acts just as awkward around black people as he does white people. When he meets David Alan Grier, who is great in the movie, by the way, when he meets David Alan Grier, he's kind of just as awkward around him as he is around white people. So, and it's coming up more that he's just a meek kind of wussy guy. Up until you really get to he really starts to kind of actually talk about the issues he's feeling. It's not coming across very well. Once we get to, I want to say, there's a conversation he has with Jason character where they're like doing, I want to know what game they were playing, by the way. They had on some Oculuses, and they were just, I want to, oh yeah, pull up the guts. I'm like, what game are you playing? I want to play this. But where he starts talking to him and actually starts addressing, like, the problems he's feeling, and it just gets blown aside, where I'm like, okay, now it's starting to come out. Now it's starting to come out. I just feel like they're not addressing it enough in the beginning of the movie. Which leads me to the next problem I have that's tied in with this speech he has. And it's a double-edged problem, because on one hand, I actually get what they're going with. And again, my friend kind of gave me her take on what it is. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. The problem here is I think they're being too clever with that, because it happens during this Zoom presentation at the company. And by the way, I don't care about giving any. I'm not going to give like any spoilers, like how it kind of wraps up. But I have no problem talking about this film, at least in a little bit in depth, because I think it's actually a very interesting film in this regard, in many regards. But he's talking to like they have the Zoom presentation, and first off, the CEO of this company they work at is a total asshat. He's that guy. Like, oh, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. No, because we're doing this, and he's Australian, so that's why I got the accent. And you got the girl who's just a woman who's trying to suck up to him, who basically stole the main love interest's position and gave it to the other guy because she wanted to get promoted. It's like solidarity and all that. To which anyone would have gone, no, what about my solidarity? What about solidarity for me? No, F you. But eventually it's Justin Smith and Drew Tarver having out, and Drew basically, he was being racist without thinking he was being racist, and the minute he gets called out for it, he's getting defensive, like, I'm not racist, like, he's getting defensive about, which is kind of a callback to another scene as well, except now it's fully coming to light. And it's a great moment of him taking account of Justin taking accountability for how he's feeling. And then what I like about it is the fact the guy, you could tell it finally hit him that he was doing that, like what he did wrong, and that he felt terrible, and you could tell he felt legitimately bad for it. My problem though is that you have this whole, it keeps cutting, and he's still talking over it this entire scenario where the woman who's just trying to suck up and the CEO are trying to save everything, trying to save the presentation and everything like that. And it keeps cutting back to them, and it's sometimes you're missing things he's saying. And what my friend told me is that that's kind of how it happens. It is in real life, where you try to have a voice, and there are so many other voices drowning you out that you have to shout what you mean, how you feel. Like, and I heard her say that. I'm like, okay, I get that, and if that's what they're going for, okay. But I feel like that's trying to be a little too clever, because unfortunately it drowns out the message of what he's trying to say and what he's trying to feel. And we still hear a lot of it, and so it's still poignant enough that it gets the point across. But I feel like they're trying to be a little too clever on that, a little too on the nose with that. Like, instead of just letting him have this speech, which, and maybe once in a while cutting back to him, they're doing it a lot. Luckily, you're still able to hear a lot of what he's saying, but still, I feel like that was an issue. Which leads me though to the rest of the film, which I do think is actually solid. Like, I think most of the comedy works. Like I said, David Alan Grier is great in the movie. He has a great little monologue about putting on the fake smile. And I even leaned over and I'm like, look, even as a white guy, who works in the retail industry, I understand putting on this fake smile. Now, it's different for me, but I still understand putting on this fake smile. Now, granted, as I'm getting older and a bit just been there with the company for a long time now, I can get away with being a little bit more curt with a customer, especially when a customer's kind of being rude. I'm like, yeah, there's no reason to do that. Chill out. Like, I can do that and get away with it, but generally speaking, I just try to put on, the friendly customer service smile. Obviously, it's different for me, very clearly, but still, I'm like, even I can relate to that. But not to the fact of, if I make it home. He basically says something along the lines of, my grandmother looked at me and says, if your father makes it home tonight alive, he's got nothing to be ashamed for. Like, that's powerful. That is. But at the same time, there was a catch-22 of that, where he's given up a lot of opportunities, friendships, romances. He says he's had to, swallow a lot of pills, not actual, but you know what I meant. Swallow a lot of pills that need to be swallowed to just keep going and all that. Dealing with a lot in life, opportunities missed. I guess there's one of the issues I heard is that it doesn't explore a lot of concepts. Like, in that scene, I'm like, yeah, because Justice Smith actually kind of calls him out a little bit backwards. Like, yeah, but what kind of life do you actually have? You don't have anyone. You're just making other people happy, which leads ultimately to the point line near the end. It's like, yeah, it shouldn't be my job to make white people happy, which is absolutely true. I do like the love interest. She's actually their first meeting is one of those cringe moments, but it does kind of circle back to being charming. They actually, I think, are very cute together. I do like them together a lot. There is something revealed about her near the end where, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it might actually ruin the character. Like, I'm not 100% sure how I feel. Like, as a joke, it works. But when you're actually thinking about it in the context of the movie you just watched, that kind of actually ruins her character a little bit. Like, not even like complete. Like, why are you doing this then if this is what you're doing? But I don't know. That's debatable. Um, and I actually look, the just Jason character is a complete tool. He's completely self-absorbed. He's kind of an asshat, but he's not an evil person. Is the thing. He's not an evil person. He's there are different types of ignorance in this world, and there's racism and all that. He's ignorant in the sense of how he's being racist, but he's also kind of willfully ignorant about it, due to the fact that anytime someone tries to call him out, he gets defensive, not believing he could be that, without realizing that because he's being defensive about it, and so defensive about it, that is kind of proof that he is being it. Like, if you are like, full disclosure, if someone were to ask me, do I think I'm racist? If I actually stopped and thought the answer for a moment, legit, I would go, no, I don't. I would like to believe I am not racist. And if I were to look back on my life right now and think of everything I've done, am I racist? And if I were to think like on a percentage scale, majority wise, no, I don't believe I have been racist I don't believe I'm racist. But I also know that I am human and I am fallible. And there may have been points in my younger years where I've either done or said something that was racist, because we live in a society that I can't control the stuff that codes input into my ears as a kid. So I might see something or hear something or do something that might be racist, and I might not interpret it as such, because the whole concept of, let's be very clear right now, and I'm going hard on this right now, but the whole idea of white guilt. Do I have white guilt? Of course I do. As a white guy, I have white guilt, and I hate the fact that I live in a world where I have to have that white guilt. I hate the fact that people who looked like me took people who looked like my friend and several other my friends, took them from their home and enslaved them and brutalized them, raped and I hate that. I hate that. But also, we're not born with white guilt. We're not born to hate. We're born clean slates. We're taught all this stuff. I guess it just comes to a point like, when are we allowed not to feel white guilt? I guess is the question. And don't get me wrong, if you're a student of history and you're white, you should by all accounts have white guilt. But I guess the question is, how long is it going to be for next generations to be like, yeah, I guess it's going to be one of those things where probably never, if I'm going to be honest, as long as we keep reminding ourselves of that history, which we should never forget it, we will most likely always have to feel white guilt. And that's unfortunate. And I say that it's unfortunate, it's because we have that blemish in our human history. We really do. We have that terrible, terrible moment. And unfortunately, that is our burden as white people. That is our burden that we have to bear, and we should kind of bear, unfortunately. But I just find it interesting that no kid starts out thinking, oh, I feel bad because of what we did to black people. No, they don't think. They will say, it's like, hey, you have different skin color than me. Cool. Want to go play? That's what kids are. Kids are innocent, man. And it's everything else that, comes in and morphs us into the people we are. So, like I said, do I think I am racist? I would like to believe I'm not, but I would not put it past me to have done or said something in my past where maybe I was. And you know what? Look, I've probably grown from that. But look, if at some point something happens where I say or do something that is completely out of line, I would want to be called out on it. I'm very conscious about the fact that I need to be, I don't need to be like on eggshells with people, but I should be considerate of other people's history, their backstories, backgrounds, all of that. I just be considerate about who you're talking to, about who you're interacting to, how you're interacting and talking with them. And look, if they're comfortable with you, that's one thing. That is one thing to be comfortable with someone. But it's another thing. You shouldn't have to feel tense around people. And this goes for everyone. You shouldn't have to feel that. And it sucks we live in a world where we do. It really does. So, that being said, there are other issues with the film. Like, by the way, we both agreed. The whole idea that if one person goes out of line, then everyone's magic shuts down. I'm like, did you ever think that was a terrible system of magic? Like, magical government? Like, that is a terrible system. Yeah, still, reprimand them for their power, but don't take their magic. Like, do not have a hive mind mentality, okay, in terms of your, like, how your magical system works. Don't have everyone working off the same generator. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I gave my take on it. And look, if you think I'm dead wrong, then that's fine too. Well, let me rephrase that. If you think I'm dead wrong, well, be clear how you think I'm dead wrong. Because if you think I'm dead wrong for being woke, or, just being willfully ignorant about what a lot of black people, and let's be honest, Hispanic people, Asian people, like people who aren't white, have to deal with this country, well, then you're being ignorant and an idiot. You're being an ignorant idiot and probably racist in your own right to some degree. You're ignoring what's actually happening. But also, if you disagree with me because, if you disagree with me for a legitimate argument reason that's not racist, well, that's fine too. Absolutely. That's the beauty of opinion and free speech. Anyway, I tried to navigate this video as best I can. Let me know if I did a good job or not. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I do like the movie. If you're interested, I would at least give it a watch. I would give it a watch. I think it's got some script issue. You know what? I think that's what it really comes down to. I think the choices that the script ultimately made and the director made, I don't think quite work. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Later.